Welcome in, folks, to the World of Football YouTube channel. I'm your host, Adam Snow. Sitting with me today is the founder of the World of Football, my father, Randy Snow. And today we're going to be recapping Week 3 of this inaugural season of the AF1 or Arena Football 1, if you are unfamiliar with this league. Dad, how are you doing today?
I'm great because I got to see 3 different arena games over the weekend on different days, and it was great. There's a lot of good action in these games, and we're going to talk all about that right now.
Yep, I'm going to say right off the bat, this was probably one of the best arena weekends that this incarnation or the previous one have probably had, like a full weekend of just stellar games with a lot of great stuff going on, where all the drama is on the field and not off the field for a change. Even though there's some rumors and stuff floating around out there, but since nothing's really come to light, I'm just brushing all that off and focusing on the great content that the AF1 has been providing us so far this season. But before we get into the full recap of Week 3, I'd like to let you guys know about a few things, like liking and commenting and subscribing to this YouTube channel helps us out. We've been slowly, steadily growing, interacting with more new people as this season's gone along. It's been a lot of fun. And if you guys want to, you can follow us on our various social medias. That's Instagram, X, and on Facebook. Dad primarily runs the show on 2 of the 3, so he's always posting great stuff from around the world of football on those socials, so you can interact over there. And guys, if you want to listen to us some more, we have a weekly podcast this week in the world of football, which we talk about everything from the NFL to AF1 to the other various indoor and spring leagues that are currently playing at the moment. So go check that out. New episodes of that drop every Tuesday. Again, this week in the world of football, wherever good podcasts can be found. And one last plug, I promise, one last plug. As you can see, I got a nifty new shirt here, kind of arena football themed. That's not the only thing, guys. We have a whole new merch store opened up over at TeePublic, the World of Football shop, where we got some various designs of the World of Football, our Just Lying Around podcast that me and my brother do, as well as we're starting to add some more theme stuff. We got some stuff for the Canadian League. Got a couple of arena and indoor themed shirts also, including Show Us Your Nets, which I think is hilarious, and Dad would beg to differ. But you know what? Having fun with it. You guys can. I don't know if they're going to be linked underneath the YouTube channel just yet. I might take a day or two because today's the first day we're talking about it. Look for the various social media posts about it. There will be a link in the description for sure to find our new merch. So go over there, find it. You can make yourself a t-shirt, or you can turn it into buttons, magnets, pins, tapestries, what have you. If you have a frat room that needs a tapestry on a wall, we got you covered. Go take care of that and get yourself a World of Football tapestry over at TeePublic. There we go. Got the plugs out of the way, Dad. Let's talk about AF1. Kicked off Friday night. The Corpus Christi Tritons were hosting the Salina Liberty yet again. 2 out of 3 weeks now for these two teams. And bit of a different game than the first time around. I think Salina actually showed up. Salina actually made it a game, but it was Corpus Christi that still came out on top. The Tritons 51, the Salina Liberty 37. Quarterback Fred Payton for the Corpus Christi Tritons went 19 of 36, 191 yards, 5 touchdowns. He ran the ball 4 times for 5 yards and 2 touchdowns. And wide receiver Darius Prince, the great wide receiver in the AF1, had 8 catches for 86 yards and caught 2 touchdown passes. For Salina, quarterback Javin Kligo, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, was 11 of 32, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pair of interceptions. Wide receiver Edward Smith for the Liberty had 7 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 1 rush for 2 yards and a touchdown. And then, how about this? Colton Ryan had a kick return for a touchdown during this game. He had 3 returns overall for 88 yards and that lone touchdown. So, Dad, thoughts on this matchup between Corpus Christi and Salina?
Oh, you're going to let me talk now? We're 20 minutes into the show, and you're finally going to let me say something.
Not an exaggeration. It wasn't how it was supposed to go. You were supposed to interject at any point, and you never did.
Oh, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. No, let me just give you my rundown, because I watched all 3 of these games. They were all really good. In the Corpus Christi game, the nets were at both ends of the field for Corpus Christi.
Yep, they showed us their nets.
They showed us the nets at both ends. Yeah, it looked really good too. There was no sound on the broadcast. I don't know if you experienced this or not,
Yeah,
but
I
the
went
first
to
two and
tune
a
into
half
this
minutes.
game. Yeah, for a while I had no sound of this game. I didn't know what was up, if it was my TV or if it was
Yep.
uh, the broadcast itself. So that was a little bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, yeah, because before they started, you could hear some crowd noise, when there were just people milling around the field before the game started, the broadcast had started, and you could hear the crowd noise or maybe a little music in the background. So then when the game started, there was no sound at all, and I thought maybe it was my laptop, but it wasn't. But yeah, it was like the first 2.5 minutes of the game, um, and they did when we watched this game last time, there were no ads on the dasher boards there in Corpus Christi. It was just like a solid blue wall, and it was the same thing this time. But towards the end of the game, there were some ads on the dasher boards that I think it was in the fourth quarter. They had a camera in the end zone and they panned it over to the crowd on the opposite side, and so you could see there were some. If you're going to have ads on your dasher boards, you may as well put them on the side where the camera's going to be able to see them.
You
That's
would
what they're
think.
advertising for. So I thought that was kind of a mistake, but
I
they
think
did
that
have
those might
some
have been there
ads.
the last game then too, because yeah, they.
Could be,
I thought I heard
yeah,
something that there were some, but you couldn't see them because of the camera. But then that makes one
right,
wonder, why don't you put them where a camera could see them? Like, is that the
right,
point? So,
exactly,
and
yeah.
and Corpus Christi, I see all that blank space. How much for a World of Football advertisement on one of those dasher boards? Just curious. One for a game for the rest of the year. Can we get a discount? Let us know.
Oh, can I talk again now?
Sorry,
All
go
right.
for
Let's see. The Liberty scored first and went up 7-0. The Tritons scored a touchdown, followed by a deuce on the ensuing kickoff, and so they went up 9-7 at the end of the first quarter. The Liberty then scored a field goal, and we're up 10-9. I lost the sound for a second time in the game. In the second quarter, somewhere around the 9:30 mark and the 5-minute mark, and it finally came back. So obviously they were having some audio problems there. Uh, and there was no down and distance on the graphics on the screen. I mean, you had the score, you had the time, but there was a spot for down and distance, but they weren't using it or it didn't work. I don't know what the case was, but that was a little strange because I didn't know was this second down or was that second down coming up? I couldn't tell. But Salina was up 24-17 at halftime. The Tritons tied the game 24-24 in the third. The score was tied 31-31 at the start of the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Corpus Christi scored 3 touchdowns, the last one with 9 seconds left in the game. Salina wound up getting a bit of a revenge there. They returned the kickoff for a touchdown as time expired. Uh, too little, too late for them, but
yeah.
nice to see him do that. So Corpus Christi is now 2-0, and those are my notes from the game.
Okay. Yeah, look, the big questions we had going into this were they going to get both sets of nets up? Check. The ads, we already kind of talked about that. They're on the one side. They kind of probably need some more, so also check, I guess. And then the third thing was, will Salina show up and make it competitive? And that first half, I thought Salina looked very competitive. They looked like a totally different ball club. But this Corpus Christi team is just, I don't know, they just got that, I don't know, Salina's number, if you want to say, because they've only played each other this season. We really have nothing else to compare these two teams to. But I think seeing the improvement of Salina is to be noted. And then also seeing Corpus Christi still being able to handle their business, even though the opponent they've seen before has improved, says volumes too. So now I'm curious to see how these two teams are going to go out into the Arena Football 1 landscape and compete. This should be interesting going forward. So I thought a nice start to the weekend. Very competitive game, I think, for most
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
All right, then we're going to move along to Saturday night, a game that I wonder if a lot of people were thinking that Firebirds were just going to walk away with this one, but the Nashville Cats said not so fast, my friend. But the Firebirds got the victory in the end, 42-34, in a game that was much more competitive than even I expected this game to be. But like last year, the Cats did the same thing. The undefeated Firebirds coming into their building, nobody gave the Cats a chance, and the Cats gave them a run for their money. You were in the building last year for that game for them.
Yeah.
And we had some friends that were actually in the building for this game too. Shout out to our friends Trey from Off the Wall, Josh from over on Rebound Off the Net was there too. I saw, and I think probably a few other people. Your buddy Andy Lapushnik was taking
Yep.
pictures at the game, so
Yep.
that's pretty sweet. But for Albany, let's talk about some stats real quick. Quarterback Sam Castronova, I want to say a down game for him. He still threw 4 touchdown passes during this game, but he went 12 of 28 for 127 yards, those 4 touchdowns, and he had 8 rushes for 35 yards. And then wide receiver Dwayne Brown, making a name for himself this season, had 5 catches, 55 yards, and caught a pair of touchdowns. For the Cats, much improved. They did a lot of moves, a lot of roster shakeup. Quarterback Rakeem Cato, I believe is how you say his name.
I think so.
He was 22 of 34, 239 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then he had 2 rushes for negative 11 yards. Wide receiver Robert Jones Jr. had 9 catches for 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 rushes for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's a nice little thing to have there. We'll get into your notes, whatever you got for this game. But I want to say my big note, though. Eli Gold on the call of this game was magical. I didn't get to watch this whole game from start to finish. I was at a bar and I had to watch it with the sound off. But when I could have that sound on and I could hear the beautiful tone of Eli Gold's magical arena voice, it brought me back so many years to those old, TNN games, arena football action. He just, I don't know what it is. He is just that extra magic to bring in an arena game to life, and that was awesome to have.
Yeah, it was. It was good hearing him. He was there last year calling the game when I was there. I didn't even think to go over and try and say hi to him and tell him how much he's meant to us, as fans over the years, hearing him call games. But yeah, it's good to hear him call a
Well,
game.
now we got to get down to a Nashville game. Now we gotta make up for your mistake. Come on now.
Yeah, we'll see. But here's my notes from the game. Albany was up 30-27 at halftime, and they were up 39-34 after the third quarter. The only points that were scored in the fourth quarter was a field goal by Albany with 35 seconds left in the game, making that final score 42-34. Albany is now 2-0, and Nashville is 0-2. So yeah, it was a good game for 3 quarters. Then that fourth quarter came and there was just nothing. It was like back and forth. Nobody could score. And defenses were stopping the offenses, and so it got a little boring towards the end. But Nashville was in it right to the end, and um, it was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a good looking game too. I mean, just in terms of aesthetic. Yeah, there was a lot of the talk about they didn't get tickets on sale till the week of. All that nonsense. And look, yeah, they put some drapes down. I don't remember the drapes in the venue when you went last year. So it looks like
No.
they put some stuff down. It made it look a little more aesthetically pleasing with the size of the crowd, which I don't know what the final numbers were on the crowd. I'm sure we'll hear about that at some point. But hey, I get it. A lot of the doubters and people who want to crap on this league are going to find a way to make that a big negative, and maybe that is a negative. But I thought just the optics, looking at it, looked like a decent crowd. Looked like it was a fun venue to be at that day. Everything I saw from Trey over it off the wall looked like a lot of fun. He looked like he was behind the dasher board for a lot of the games. So I don't know, just seemed like it was just a great atmosphere overall. And Nashville, despite all the negativity, looks like they had some semblance of a great game day experience. All right, anything else?
Nope, not for me.
All right, then we're going to jump to the final game, the Vice game of the week, which ends up being the game of the week in the AF1 because this came down to the very end of regulation as the Oregon Lightning defeat the Southwest Kansas Storm 41-40. How about that? You'd be if you caught the broadcast, even the people doing the graphics had the records already posted before the game was over.
Yes.
And they messed that up, so that was kind of funny. But the Oregon Lightning, and we'll get into the game and how it kind of went down in a second, but let's talk about some stats real quick. Oregon quarterback Dalton Cole was 20-37. He threw for 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He also rushed the ball 11 times for 44 yards and had 2 additional touchdowns on the ground. And then I want to throw this out there. Wide receiver Nicholas Brissell. Why don't you know that name? I don't think anybody knew that name, even on the broadcast, because he had the 1 catch for 39 yards and 1 touchdown, which was the game winner at the end of this game. That's why I wanted to give him a nice shout out for that at the end. For Southwest Kansas, quarterback Jalen Morton was 10 of 23 for 227 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He had 9 rushes for 33 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Charles Hall IV had 4 catches for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 rushes for 5 yards. And then wide receiver Demarius Washington had 5 catches for 99 yards and 2 touchdown catches. Now, this is a game that started off very much in the favor of the Storm. It was back and forth, I think, initially, but then the Storm just took over. They led 33-7 at one point in the second quarter, and that's when the Lightning just slowly started chipping back. I don't know if you got more of a breakdown of that than me, but that's kind of where this game went.
You're not going to give the name of this game that you came up with?
Oh, I mean, I was going to wait till we got all said and done because there's some stuff we could talk about as this game progressed. So as this game progressed, and we'll get to the fun nickname I have for this.
Okay, all right.
By the way, I mean if you saw the thumbnail, you already know what I'm going to say. But so they were up 33-7. Oregon chipping away at this lead throughout the second quarter, third quarter. I fell asleep even at points, and not a whole lot had happened. It kind of gotten boring. But then, somewhere in the final quarter of this game, the Storm forgot how to coach arena football. Inexplicably, it's just I've never seen such weird clock management, timeout management at the end of an arena football game. Like I get trying to run out the clock, but it was done in such a bizarre way that gave in arena football, rule number 1 should be the game ain't over till clocks hit 0. And rule number 2 should be never give your opponent the ball last. Two simple rules in arena football, in my opinion. And the Storm broke both of them.
Yeah.
Both the Cardinal rules, they broke them because they gave the Lightning the ball back with 4 seconds left. And what will now forever be known as the Dodge City debacle saw the Oregon Lightning throw a Hail Mary pass to the end zone that ends up with them getting the 1-point victory as time expires. Great for us fans, but if you're a fan of the Storm, scratching your head, throwing your chair, maybe smacking the beer out of your buddy's hand, like what just happened? It was unbelievable. And you were in a group chat said that this was one of the most arena feeling games we've had in a long time.
Yeah, to me, this was classic arena football style of play. Uh, One play drives, they'd start a drive and boom, there was a touchdown pass. Then there was another touchdown pass. There was more passing in this game than rushing. That to me is classic arena football. Uh, for a while they were back and forth. They'd score, we score, they score, we score. Uh, that that's arena football. And of course, like you said, coming down to the end of the game, you never leave an arena football game until the clock hits zeros because you never know. And I don't know what Southwest Kansas was thinking. Obviously, they weren't thinking. They had a couple of chances to. Oregon had a couple of chances in the fourth quarter. They had like a fourth and goal twice, at least twice, if
Yeah.
not 3 times,
And couldn't
and they came
convert
away
it, yeah.
they came away with no points. They turned over the ball right there, and so nobody was scoring. And it just it was unfathomable that Southwest Kansas could not run out the clock. I mean, on that last play, if they had just run around for 4 seconds and then thrown the ball into the crowd, game over. They would have won, and they should have won that game, but they didn't. And it was exciting. Good for Oregon. So that's 2 losses in a row for Southwest Kansas that they probably shouldn't have been. They should be 4-0 right now, maybe, but
Well,
now they're
that
2-2.
Firebird game, that was a tough one, but
Yeah.
they should have had this game. And look, we watched many a Grand Rapids Rampage game where Clint, like in the back hip pocket of the greatest arena football quarterback to ever play the game, Clint Dolezal. Y'all can at me if you want. It's the fact, and I will stand by it. Clint Dolezal, when they would end the game and you knew like all they had to do was run out a few seconds, it would be him dropping back as far as he could and then just heaving a ball to some of these arenas don't have upper decks anymore. But you just heave the ball out. You give the fan a ball, and you send them home with a souvenir and a victory. Like that should be like in your playbook. Like the victory formation isn't a kneel down in the arena football.
Right.
It's
Right.
your quarterback takes 12 steps back and throws the ball to some lucky schmo in the stands. That is your victory formation. And the Storm apparently didn't want to give a ball away.
Yeah. The announcers, Ari Wolf and Sed Bonner, they actually mentioned the Grand Rapids Rampage. I don't know if you've
Yep.
heard that.
I did.
Right around the third quarter or so, they mentioned how they had a bunch of really good receivers on their team.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like, they were comparing them to either Southwest Kansas or Oregon, I forget. But yeah, they did get a shout out to to
I
the
think I caught that
Rampage.
because I was trying to okay, so this leads me into some of my notes from the game. I was trying to rewatch the end of this game today just to be like, I got to pinpoint exactly maybe where this Southwest Kansas collapse, this debacle actually started. And yeah, I caught the reference in the fourth quarter. They talked about Grand Rapids, which was pretty cool. But unfortunately, I've been using the Friendly app that we talked about last week to stream the Vice games, right? And I even had the DVR record option. I'm like, great. So when the game's done, and the next day, if I need to, because it takes them a while to repost the game on Evergreen now for the Arena Football one, that uh, I was gonna go back and rewatch it. And after the 1 minute timing, nothing. The
Mm,
recording just stops.
mm,
I was really bummed. I couldn't rewatch the end of this game, but I could
mm,
watch everything kind of leading up to that point. And I was a
yeah.
little disappointed, Friendly, with the fact that you cut off the recording like that. But I guess I'll have to wait for the AF1 to drop that on their website to rewatch or on Evergreen now to rewatch that. So
Yeah.
that was one of my notes from this game. The uniforms. We haven't talked about the uniforms. All the uniforms this weekend look great. By the way,
Yep.
everything, even those weird Oregon and uh, Southwest Kansas wearing home uniforms, or it might have been
I
the alternate for the Lightning.
I had no problems with those uniforms. You know, the orange and then the blue and green or whatever. I thought they looked good together on the field. So I had that was not an issue to me.
See, I would say it looked terrible. It just took me aback. Like, dang, that's a bright orange, and dang, that's a purple. You know, weird for the eyes, but it works. I'm surprised more teams don't do something like that. And with the AF1 having these alternate uniforms, I wonder if we're going to see more of that, where it's an alternate jersey against the home uni, which is fine.
Yeah.
Anything else from this game?
Now last week, Southwest Kansas had the first and last names on their jerseys.
Oh yeah,
This week it was just the last names, and Oregon didn't have any names at all on there. So I don't know if the league has not mandated that you have names on the jerseys. If it's if every team can do whatever they want, but it would be nice to have names on the jerseys.
I assume that comes down to an equipment issue, and maybe it was like, I don't know if there's a mandate yet. I'm sure they don't really have that as a top priority right
Right.
now.
Right.
But anything else before we kind of move along?
Nope. Nope.
Okay. On bye this week, the Billings Outlaws and Washington Wolfpack. So it was nice having most of the league in play this week and only a couple
Yeah.
teams on bye. Looking at the standings as of right now, you have the Albany Firebirds and the Corpus Christi Tritons at 2-0 at the top. Billings at 1-0. So those are your three unbeaten teams as of right now. At 500, you have the Southwest Kansas Storm and the Washington Wolfpack. Southwest Kansas obviously 2-2. The Wolfpack 1-1. The Oregon Lightning at 1-2, and then the Nashville Cats and Salina Liberty both at 0-2 thus far this season. Looking at the games coming up in Week 4, Dad, I'll mention a game. If you got any thoughts on it, let me know, or otherwise we'll just move right along and we'll wrap the
Okay.
show up probably shortly after.
Okay.
Thursday, we have a Thursday game this week. April 3rd, the Billings Outlaws will travel to Washington to take on the Wolfpack. Do you know, is this a Vice game since it's on Thursday night?
I don't think so
What?
because they have a Sunday game, and that will be your Vice
Oh,
game on Sunday.
okay, that's the Vice game is the Albany. Okay, we'll get to that one then. I couldn't remember. I don't have the Vice schedule memorized. So Billings, I'm excited to see them play again. It's been a couple weeks.
Yep. Yep.
Washington, after their fun comeback, victory. Curious to see how they'll play against a very good Billings team.
Yep.
Friday night, the Oregon Lightning will travel to Nashville to take on the Cats. This becomes a lot more interesting now, with the
Yeah.
Cats showing a little bit of life against one of the best teams in the league, and the Lightning showing a bit of life as well, getting that last-second victory.
Yep.
So I think this will be a much more entertaining game than we probably would have initially thought. Very excited to see this one. And then Sunday, our Vice game will be the Albany Firebirds traveling to Salina to take on the Liberty. And I hope we don't end up with this, but I feel like this is a bloodbath game. I feel like Albany's going to go on the road and just pour Salina. I hope that's not the case because they looked much improved, but this will be their first game against a team that's not named the Corpus Christi Tritons. So very
Yeah.
curious about that.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think Albany is going to go in there and probably win big, but I'm really hoping that Salina can either do the upset or at least stick close to them until the end of the game.
I hope so, because those Vice games are a lot more fun when it's, a competitive game. I think
Yeah.
for Ari and said that, that's their sweet spot. Then on bye will be the Southwest Kansas Storm and the Corpus Christi Tritons. No real news this week, guys. A little surprise and nice for a change again. Couple weeks in a row now. We haven't had any off the field stuff. There was a rumor floating around that a big player might be on the move in the league. We'll have to keep an eye out for that, but we'll see what happens. The only other thing I want to share is I know I've been a big whistleblower on some of the stats not being up on the AF1 website. I even got a direct message back from the AF1 because I asked them on their X account, hey, what's up with the stats? Blah, blah, blah. And got a nice response from whoever runs the X account. I think I know who they are. We've never formally been introduced. But pointed out that all the stats, there are stats for every single game. On the AF1 website, the caveat is you do have to do a little digging. You got to go to their game cast, and you actually have to go to each game individually. And then you'll be able to find the stats that way. Because it takes some time to manually upload to their stats page on their website. So we'll see if that gets quicker as time goes, but I just want people to know there are stats. Even I, who've been critical about that, it was corrected. There are stats. So just wanted to throw that out.
All right.
All right. Anything else before we close out this week's show?
No, if the next week is as good as this past week, we're in for a great weekend of arena football.
Heck yeah. And if I can keep naming games, like I'm putting my stamp on the Dodge City debacle. Like, look, Trey from Off the Wall, you got the brawl at the mall. Well, I'm taking the Dodge City debacle. That's mine. And, we're trying to add to this arena football history. So when the history books come up and there's a nice little the title of each paragraph for each section of arena football history, we'll get our own.
Just like the Music City Miracle.
Exactly. That's what we're here for, Randy. So you just gotta jump on top of it and tweet it like as soon as the game's done.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll work on
that. Please do. And then maybe we can turn it into a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Which again, guys, links down in the description below. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Once again, we would like you to like and comment and subscribe to this channel. It would really help us out. Find us on our various social medias. Again, that's X, that's Instagram, that's Facebook. And then also, guys, check out our weekly podcast. This Week in the World of Football drops episodes every Tuesday. Without a doubt, at some point in the evening, it gets dropped. We talk about everything from the NFL, CFL, arena, indoor, UFL, you name it. So we try to talk about it over on that podcast every week. So I lost my place in my notes. So that's it, guys. Stay tuned to the channel for more AF1 recaps and other football goodness as the arena, indoor, and spring season marches forward. We'll see you next time on the World of Football. I've been Adam Snow.
I've been Randy Snow, and I've been hardly getting a word in edgewise today.
Well, next time you can write the script. And remember,
I did.
Arena League, show us your nets. We love to see them. Show the nets.